This video is about the second phase of the French Revolution. This phase started when France declared war on Austria. It was the war of the First Coalition, all called the Revolutionary War. This more radical phase ended when Robespierre was executed. Robespierre was important, but also we have Georges Danton and Jean-Paul Marat. To the background, if there's a second phase, there must have been a first phase. And during this first phase of the French Revolution, the absolutist monarchy was abolished. France was now a constitutional monarchy. The position of the parliament, the National Assembly, was strengthened. This parliament played the key role in the French state. And the highlight, if you will, was the Declaration of Men and of the Citizen, which gave every person, each person, rights, and it fascinated people to this day. However, the revolution was threatened by royalists in France, but also by the royalist powers in Europe. So France declared, as mentioned, war on Austria. Why did they do this? There were multiple layered motivations for this declaration of war. The king just thought, wonderful, we will fight a war, we will lose it, and then everything goes backwards. I will be reinstated in my absolutist position. The revolutionaries, of course, wanted to secure the revolution. They wanted to fight against internal enemies, external enemies. They want to liberate other people, and they want to expand the might of France. You have to see within the revolutionaries two groups. The moderates, they wanted to strengthen the military, which then, so they thought, will stabilize the revolution and the country. The more radicals, they wanted to wipe out the enemies of the revolution, or not the hardcore revolutionists, if you will, within France. The Prussian commander, the Duke of Brunswick, he released a manifesto announcing draconic means in case of resistance. And such threats, as often in history, this threat has the opposite effect. Now, a revolutionary commune took control of Paris, and more, the king was arrested, storming of the Tuileries. The constitutional monarchy, of course, with arresting the king, failed, and that also means that the National Assembly failed, and this National Assembly dissolved itself. So the way was open for the more radical phase. But France still under pressure, and this pressure could be relieved when the French won the Cannonade of Valmy, and later, should be mentioned, they advanced into the Rhineland. The National Convention was elected, and this National Convention declared France to be a republic. We have now the first French Republic. To understand the development during this phase, you need to know the structure of the National Convention. You have the Girondins, that is the economic bourgeoisie, and the Montagnards or Jacobins, that is educated higher class citizens, but with contact to the sans-culottes, to the poorer people. And then the majority of this convention just decided this or that way, whatever they saw fit. Anyway, in January 1793, Louis XVI was executed, and that meant that more and more countries joined the war against France. But France was not only under pressure from the European alliance, there were also revolts within France, Royalist Uprisings. In this situation, the sans-culottes in Paris, so the poorer people, demanded more extreme changes, a revolution that goes more extreme. The only group who opposed this approach was the Girondins. But now the revolution became more and more radical. The Revolutionary Tribunal was established as a political court. Furthermore, the Committee of Public Safety under Robespierre took over the executive government. Then the National Guard forced the moderate Girondins out of the parliament. And now the phase of the Great Terror, of the Reign of Terror first can start with at least 30,000 to 40,000 victims. The convention and the Committee of Public Safety decided to implement means of terror against counter-revolutionaries. Then the Committee of Public Safety was given full powers, that meaning that also now legislative powers, which then, of course, opens all doors for a really radical phase. And now some revolutionaries, more radical moderates, were executed, so probably referred under the slogan, "The revolution eats its children." Furthermore, the revolutionaries tried to push out the Christian faith, and they had their own cults established. And from June to July 1794, it was the phase of the Great Terror. A suspicion was enough to be executed. But that was going too far, so some members of parliament, they arrested Robespierre, and he was executed on the 28th of July 1794, and this date marks the end of the radical phase, the second phase of the French Revolution. Afterwards, the moderate Girondins were re-established in Parliament. Now, this radical phase costs 30 to 40,000 lives at least. And in school you probably hear, "Oh, that is horrible, that is so horrible." Of course it is. It is a tragedy. However, you have to see from a historic point of view that this radical phase secured the French Revolution. And with this secure revolution, the monarchy was abolished and a society with the least principles, with the least democratic and republican principles, was installed or established. The French Revolution now at this point fascinated lots of people, masses all over Europe, but the revolution was still under threat from the monarchist powers in Europe. And what should follow is the third phase of the French Revolution, dominated by the economic bourgeoisie. And this phase will, in the medium term, lead to the Empire Français, the French Empire under Napoleon Bonaparte. That was the second phase of the French Revolution in 5.